Is this God's idea of comfort? The pain of having a cat. This is my story. I remember the day so vividly, the day when everything felt a little too heavy, like the world was closing in on me. Life had been filled with so much loss, so much pain, and in the midst of all that darkness, I found myself sitting alone, staring out of a window, feeling like the weight of the world was pressing against my chest. The loneliness was unbearable. I had lost so much already: loved ones, dreams, and a sense of purpose. I felt like there was no one left to understand me, no one who could fill the empty spaces in my heart. Then, on one of those cold, quiet evenings, something unexpected happened. I heard a soft meow outside my door. It was faint, almost like a whisper, but it was enough to pull me from my sorrow. I opened the door, and there, sitting in the dim light of the porch, was a small cat, drenched from the rain. His eyes, wide and glowing, looked straight into mine, as if he had been waiting for me. His fur was scruffy, his body small and fragile, yet there was something about him, something in those eyes, that felt familiar, like a piece of my broken soul had found its way back to me. I knelt down, reached out, and he didn't run away. Instead, he leaned into my hand, his tiny body trembling as he pressed against me, seeking warmth. In that moment, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time: connection. I took him inside, wrapped him in an old towel, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I didn't feel completely alone. I named him Oliver. I didn't know why, but it felt right. From that day on, Oliver became my shadow. Everywhere I went, he followed, always close, always near. At first, I thought I was saving him, that I was the one giving him a home, food, and warmth. But the truth, as time passed, became clear. He was saving me. There were days when I would sit in silence, feeling the weight of my grief suffocating me. On those days, Oliver would climb into my lap, curl up, and purr softly, as if to remind me that even in the darkest moments, I wasn't truly alone. His presence was a balm to my aching heart, a constant reminder that I was still capable of giving love, and more importantly, of receiving it. I began to wonder if this little creature had been sent to me for a reason. It was as if God, in all his wisdom, knew that my heart was too fragile to bear any more human loss. Maybe he saw that I needed a companion, one who didn't ask questions, who didn't judge my sadness, but simply existed beside me, offering comfort in the quietest of ways. Oliver never demanded anything from me, but his quiet presence was enough to keep me going, day by day. As the months passed, I found myself talking to Oliver, sharing my thoughts, my fears, my dreams. He never spoke back, of course, but his eyes seemed to understand. I would tell him about the people I had lost, the ones who had left me behind, and how their absence had carved holes in my soul. And as I spoke, he would listen, his soft purring the only sound in the room. Somehow, it felt like he understood the emptiness in my heart, the way it ached, the way it longed for something I could no longer grasp. There were nights when I would wake up, gasping from the pain of memories too sharp to bear. I would sit up, my heart pounding, my mind racing. And in those moments, I would feel Oliver's gentle weight beside me, his warm body pressed against mine, as if he knew that I needed him right then. It was in those moments that I realized God had given me a gift, not just a cat, but a lifeline. Oliver was more than a pet. He was a quiet guardian of my soul, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, love could still find a way in. He didn't heal my heart, not completely, but he helped me carry the weight of my sorrow, and for that, I was eternally grateful. But like all things in life, our time together was not infinite. As the years passed, Oliver began to slow down. His once bright eyes grew dim, his playful nature faded, and I could see that his time was nearing its end. It was a cruel reminder that nothing in life, not even the purest forms of love, lasts forever. The day I lost him was one of the hardest days of my life. He had been with me through so much, his presence a constant source of comfort, and now, as I held him for the last time, I couldn't help but feel that familiar ache of loss return, even stronger than before. But as I looked into his eyes one final time, I realized something. Oliver had done what he was meant to do. He had carried me through the storm, through the darkest nights of my soul, and now it was time for him to rest. I buried him under the old oak tree in my yard, the place where we had spent countless afternoons together. As I stood there, saying goodbye to the little creature who had been my lifeline, I couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of gratitude. In his quiet, unassuming way, Oliver had shown me that love doesn't always come in the form we expect. Sometimes it arrives on four paws, with soft fur and a gentle purr, just when we need it most. And so, I believe that God placed Oliver in my life for a reason. He knew I needed a companion, someone who wouldn't try to fix me but would simply be there, beside me, through it all. Oliver was that gift, that quiet reminder that even in our darkest moments, we are never truly alone. He may be gone now, but his memory lives on in my heart, a reminder of the love that found me when I had almost forgotten how to feel it. I still miss him every day, but I know that he's with me, in spirit, watching over me, just as he always did. And maybe, just maybe, one day I'll see him again. Until then, I carry his memory with me, a soft, warm presence in my heart, reminding me that even the smallest creatures can leave the deepest marks on our souls. The days after Oliver's passing felt unbearably empty. Every corner of the house seemed to echo with his absence. I would walk into the living room and still half expect to see him curled up on the couch, his little body nestled in his favorite spot by the window where the sunlight streamed in. The silence was deafening. No more soft paws patting across the floor, no more gentle purring to lull me to sleep at night. It was as if the very air in the house had changed, colder, more still, as though the warmth he had brought into my life had faded with him. I kept his little blanket folded neatly on the chair, untouched. His toys remained scattered across the floor for weeks, as if I couldn't bring myself to pack them away. It hurt too much to face the reality that he was really gone. I'd sit there, staring at them, thinking about how such simple things, a string, a bell, a scrap of fabric, had once brought him so much joy. Now, they were just silent reminders of everything I had lost. The grief was overwhelming, heavier than I'd ever anticipated. You see, losing a pet, especially one that had been such a profound source of comfort, isn't just about the physical absence. It's about the loss of a constant, unspoken connection. Oliver had been the one who had understood me without words, who had sat with me through the darkest moments of my life. And now that he was gone, it felt like a piece of me had gone with him. I found myself wondering, once again, why God had given me this precious creature, only to take him away. The question haunted me in the quiet of the night, as I lay in bed, staring up at the ceiling. Why give me something that could heal my heart, only to break it again? But as the days turned into weeks, and the sharp pain of loss began to dull into a more manageable ache, I started to see things differently. Oliver had never been meant to stay with me forever. None of us are. His time with me, though short, had served a purpose far greater than I had realized. He had been there when I needed him most, during the time when I thought my heart could no longer bear the weight of life's sorrows. He had been a beacon of light in my darkest hours, a reminder of the simple, pure love that exists in this world. And maybe, just maybe, that was why he had come into my life, to show me that even in the midst of heartache, love can still bloom. I began to understand that God's gifts aren't always about permanence. Sometimes they're about presence. Oliver's presence in my life, however brief, had been transformative. He had given me a reason to get up each day, a reason to smile when I didn't think I could. He had reminded me that love doesn't have to be grand or dramatic to be meaningful. It can be found in the soft nuzzle of a cat's head against your hand, in the quiet companionship of an animal who asks for nothing but your company. The day I realized this was the day I finally let go of the anger and sadness I had been holding on to. I walked out to the oak tree, where I had buried him, and for the first time, I didn't cry. Instead, I knelt by the spot, placed my hand on the cool earth, and whispered a quiet thank you. Thank you for the time we had. Thank you for the love you gave me, even when I didn't know I needed it. Thank you for showing me that I was never truly alone. And in that moment, as the wind rustled through the leaves of the tree, I felt a strange sense of peace settle over me. It was as if the universe, or perhaps God himself, was reminding me that love, in all its forms, is never truly lost. It stays with us, in our hearts, in our memories, in the way it changes us. Oliver may have been gone from this world, but the love he had given me, and the love I had given him, would remain with me forever. As the seasons changed and life slowly began to move forward, I found myself smiling again. The pain of losing Oliver never completely faded, but it became something softer, something I could live with. And in its place, I carried the warmth of his memory, like a soft light that glowed within me, reminding me of the beauty that love, no matter how fleeting, can bring into our lives. There are still days when I catch myself thinking I hear his soft meow or feel the brush of his fur against my legs. And sometimes, when the house is quiet, I find myself speaking to him, as if he's still here, still watching over me. Maybe he is. Maybe, in some small way, the love we shared has transcended this life, and he's still with me, just as he was before. I don't know what lies beyond this life, but I like to think that one day, when my own time here is done, I'll find him waiting for me, sitting under that same oak tree, his eyes bright and filled with love, just like they were the day he first appeared on my doorstep. Until then, I'll carry his memory with me, a reminder that even in the midst of sorrow, God's love finds a way to reach us, sometimes in the form of a tiny, scruffy cat with big, glowing eyes. Because in the end, that's what Oliver was. He wasn't just a pet. He was a messenger of love, a quiet reminder that even when the world feels dark and empty, there is always something, someone, waiting to fill the spaces in our hearts. And for that, I will be forever grateful. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss another emotional journey like this one. And if you loved it, give it a thumbs up to show your support. We'd love to hear your own experiences. Do you have a cat that's made a difference in your life? Share your story in the comments below, and let's create a community of people who know just how special our feline friends truly are.